Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something pretty relevant for a lot of people. That sudden, urgent need for cash.
Mm,
Maybe the emergency fund isn't quite there, the car gives out, or a medical bill just appears and you need, say, $900 fast.
happens all the time.
Exactly. So is a short-term loan really the lifeline, it seems? Or is it more like walking a tightrope?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is our mission today to really unpack these $900 loans in Texas, specifically looking at a platform like 15mfinance.org.
Okay.
We want to go beyond just the ads, understand how they work, who they're really for, and maybe most importantly, what you absolutely need to think about before you even consider applying. Let's get properly informed.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
So first things first, when we say a $900 loan, what are we actually talking about?
Right. Fundamentally, it's a small personal loan. Short term.
Not like a mortgage or a big car loan.
No. Much smaller scale. Think of it as bridging a gap, usually until your next paycheck, or for a very specific immediate cost.
Right, like those things I mentioned, the car repair so you can actually get to work.
Yeah.
Or maybe an urgent copay, things that just can't wait.
Exactly. Those kinds of scenarios. And what's interesting, or maybe different about platforms like 15mfinance.org compared to, say, your traditional bank,
Yeah.
is their focus. It's really built around accessibility and speed. Banks, well, they often have longer processes, stricter credit checks.
Takes time, lots of paperwork sometimes.
Right. Which doesn't really work if you need money, like today.
Yeah.
These online platforms, they streamline things a lot,
Yeah.
often using tech to get you funds maybe the same day or the next business day.
Okay, so speed is a major factor.
Huge. And that accessibility piece connects directly to people who might not have, perfect credit scores.
Yeah.
Banks might say no, but these lenders often have different criteria.
That speed and accessibility sound incredibly tempting, especially when you're stressed and just need a solution. But there are lots of lenders out there. What makes 15mfinance.org specifically stand out? What's their pitch?
Yeah, good question. They tend to highlight a few key things. First, like we said, the fast approval. People often get a decision really quickly, sometimes just minutes.
Minutes. Wow.
Yeah, potentially. Second, and this is a big one for many people, they state they work with borrowers of all credit backgrounds.
Okay, the bad credit okay idea. We should probably dig into what that really means later.
Definitely. Third, it's all online, the whole application. From home, on your phone, no need to go anywhere or handle physical papers.
Convenience factor.
Big time. And lastly, they often talk about flexible repayment options, trying to work with your budget. Though flexible needs careful examination too.
Sure. The fine print always matters.
Absolutely. So you put those together: speed, easier credit requirements, online process, some flexibility, and you can see why it presents itself as a practical alternative if you need cash quickly and maybe can't or don't want to go through a bank.
It's about cutting through the red tape, essentially.
That's the goal, I think. Efficiency and flexibility when you're in a bind. Now, about that bad credit point.
Yeah, tell me more. How can they do that?
Well, it usually means they weigh other factors more heavily than just your FICO score. They might look closely at your income. Is it regular? Is it steady?
Proof you can pay it back now.
Exactly. And your banking history. Do you have regular deposits? Any recent bounce checks or overdrafts? It's a different way of assessing the immediate risk.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a different lens. So if someone's thinking, all right, this might work for me, how does the actual application process go? You said it's simple.
Supposedly very straightforward. Typically, you'd go to their website, 15mfinance.org. There's an online form.
How long does that take?
They often say about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
You put in basic info, who you are, where you live, then details about your income, maybe connect your bank account or provide proof.
The standard stuff for any loan, really.
Pretty much. You submit that, and then, as we mentioned, sometimes you get a decision almost instantly.
An instant decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you're approved, the $900 could be sent right to your bank account, often electronically. They usually aim for within one business day, so potentially 24 hours.
That is fast.
Right.
And any basic requirements, like who can apply?
Yeah. Generally, you need to be a resident of Texas, obviously, for a Texas loan. You need that steady source of income we talked about. And you need an active bank account for them to deposit the money, and likely for repayments, too.
Got it. Texas resident, income, bank account, pretty basic hurdles.
Right. And the fact that it's all digital, you can do it from your couch. That convenience is a huge part of the appeal. No appointments, no waiting in line.
Definitely a plus when time is tight.
But, and this is a very important, But,
Here we go. The considerations.
exactly. We've talked about the how. Now let's really dig into the should I. Because yes, it's fast, but that speed often comes at a cost, a potentially significant cost.
Okay, let's hear it. What's the main thing to watch out for?
The number one thing, without a doubt, is the high interest rates. We talk about APRs, annual percentage rates. With short-term loans like these, the APRs can look astronomical, hundreds of percent sometimes. Now, you're not paying that annual rate because the loan is only for weeks or maybe a month.
But it still translates into high fees, right?
Precisely. That APR reflects the cost. So borrowing $900 for, say, 2 weeks might cost you an extra $70 and maybe even more, depending on the specific rate. That's a hefty price for speed.
Ouch. Yeah, that adds up quickly. Okay, high interest. What else?
Second, you absolutely must understand the repayment terms fully.
Meaning, when is it due and how do I pay it back?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Often, these loans are due in one lump sum on your very next payday. All $900 plus the fees, all at once.
That could be tough for a lot of budgets.
It can be a shock if you're not prepared. And if you miss that due date, you're looking at late fees, which can be steep. And sometimes there's the option to roll over the loan.
Rollover? What's that?
It means you pay a fee to push the due date back, essentially taking out a new loan to cover the old one.
Oh, that sounds dangerous. Like a cycle.
It can very easily become a debt trap. You pay fee after fee, and the amount you owe just keeps growing, sometimes far beyond the original $900 you borrowed. So knowing the due date and being absolutely certain you can pay the full amount back on time is, well, it's non-negotiable.
Okay, so high APRs, lump sum repayment, risk of rollovers. Anything else?
Yes. Always consider the alternatives. Seriously. Is this really an emergency? If you have a bit more time, even a day or two, are there other cheaper options?
Like what?
Well, credit unions often have small personal loans, sometimes called payday alternative loans or PLs, with much, much lower interest rates. Significantly lower.
Okay.
Could you possibly negotiate a payment plan directly with whoever you owe money to? Your doctor's office, the mechanic? Sometimes they're willing to work with you.
Worth asking, I suppose.
Absolutely. Are there community assistance programs you might qualify for? Even using a credit card cash advance, while not ideal because of its own fees and interest.
Might still be cheaper than some short-term loans.
Often, yes. Especially if you can pay it back relatively quickly. The APR on a credit card cash advance, while high, is usually nowhere near the triple-digit APRs of some payday-style loans. You really need to weigh the total cost.
That's a really critical point. That speed comes at a premium, and maybe a premium you could avoid. You really have to read the fine print, understand every fee, every date.
You absolutely have to. Beyond just the main interest rate and the due date, look closely at any mention of rollover fees, extension fees, late payment penalties. What happens if you can't pay on day 14?
So know the what-ifs.
Precisely. And check if there's a penalty for paying it off early. Usually not for these loans, but always check. You need the full picture of the total cost of borrowing before you commit. Can you really afford to pay it back, fees included, without ending up in a worse spot?
That's the bottom line, isn't it? Making sure the solution doesn't become a bigger problem.
That's it, exactly.
Okay. So, to wrap this up then, a $900 loan in Texas from a place like 15mfinance.org, it can be a tool, a potentially useful one for very specific, urgent situations where speed is paramount.
It can be a quick fix option.
But as we've really hammered home, it comes with serious considerations: high costs, strict repayment terms, and the need to be incredibly diligent. Responsible borrowing is key.
Absolutely crucial. Which leads to a thought, maybe something for you to really mull over.
Okay.
How does really understanding all these different parts, the APRs, the fees, the repayment structures, the alternatives, how does that empower you, not just for this potential loan, but for any financial decision you make down the road?
Yeah.
What parts of that fine print are going to be the most critical for you to focus on in any agreement you sign? Thinking about that might change how you approach your finances